Welcome back. With Running with Ed just barely in the rearview mirror, it seems like an easy time to sell the idea that we are committed to the education of our young people here in Park City. And of course, that goes without a doubt. That being said, we have had some changes in our personnel here in the Park City School District, and we are pleased to be moving forward into our children's future with a great new superintendent of schools. Of course, always our very best to Ember Conley. She will be missed, a lovely family and a great part of our community. But now we look to the future, and I'm excited to have a chance to speak with the brand new, actually not even quite on active duty, but very, very soon, superintendent of schools here in Park City. She is coming to us from Greenwich, Connecticut, and we're happy that she's here out west with us in Park City. This is Dr. Jill Gildea. Good morning. So nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You got the new
Thank
job.
You. Yes.
How are you feeling?
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to get to know the community and the children. That's
Indeed.
Always my favorite part.
Talk a little bit, if you would, because as I highlighted, you haven't really started yet, but of course I'm sure your days are filled with work and getting yourself ready. That being said, give us a little bit, if you would, please, of your background, and specifically talk about, this is a big change. And of course, we had the same conversation with Ember to go pursue her newest opportunity. Talk about making a really big move. You're moving all the way across the country, but also a career move as well, I'm sure.
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward to it, and the family is as well. So that's really the exciting part. We have a little dog that I know is going to love the trails. So we're looking forward to that. So she's a little puppy who loves exploring, is what we're learning. So that's kind of fun. I also have a daughter that I'll be bringing out here who will be a junior at the high school.
Oh,
so she's
great.
really looking forward to that as well. She's done a lot of research. She's doing a lot of research about the high school. So as I learn about the community and the district, she's informing me about the high school, and she's excited about the offerings and the AP classes, and she already has her schedule just about planned. We just need to make an appointment with the guidance counselor. So that's a little bit about the family, and I've been in education for 32 years. I spent 10 years in the classroom and loved it, and then moved into a high school divisional role, which is a leadership role of an English department. It's a large high school in the Chicago area, about 3,200 kids. So I started in the larger high school in administration, then moved into elementary principalship. And then from there, it's really been time in curriculum. So really curriculum and organizational development. I've been a superintendent for the past 10 years, 11 years actually. This is my 11th year. So I'll start my 12th year as a superintendent in Park City, which will be amazing.
Well, congratulations for that. We're
Thank
happy
you.
to have you. Talk a little bit, if you would, about your background in, especially starting in Chicago in a really, really big facility. Obviously, Greenwich, Connecticut it's a different demographic. It's a different kind of world. But I'm thinking that maybe we kind of straddle a little bit a lot of those worlds here in Park City because we're a very small community. It's a public school, but I'm guessing that there's probably a lot of private school essence that is really a beautiful part of our public schools here in Park City.
And that would mirror Greenwich as well, definitely. But I think what resonates about Park City, at least for me being new and learning about this community and the school district, it is very student-centered, very learner-centered education, theory, and ideas, and I love that piece. So really looking at the whole child, how they're learning and growing not only academically but socially, and that's such a key part, I think, of the future of public schools, is to really look at the entire learner and just provide them with limitless opportunities. And when you look at this district, how could that not happen?
We certainly have a lot just steps outside of the school that maximize quality of life.
Absolutely, but I mean, they can learn all about environmental impacts and just all the different kinds of habitat, all the kinds of learning, all the kinds of problems you can have the kids start solving for today. And I think that's the part that really makes future learning so exciting, is I think it becomes much more community-based.
Well said. I'm interested in your approach to transition, because it's in some ways kind of a wholly different a set of duties that you perform for a limited period of time before you kind of go back to what you've been doing for many years. Is that a separate kind of work plan for you, or do you see it as something larger within just kind of becoming, as you said, a part of the community and getting to know Park City?
Right, so my approach will really be to look at the strategic plan in the district, which I'm sure you've been familiar with and you've learned about. It's a newer plan, and I will really kind of hug that as the transition plan. So as I learn about the academic program, as I learn about the community affiliations and partnerships, all of that helps me, the communications platforms, all of that will help me learn about the district and then keep moving everything forward. Because I think the biggest thing when you're new is you really want the community to understand that you want to learn and understand them. You don't want to just come in and turn over the apple cart.
Yes.
You really want to just keep things moving along an excellent trajectory. So that's always the goal.
Indeed. That being said, of course, there is a need, and I think that we as the community need to sort of see you put your stamp on the position you are, or you certainly very shortly will be the active superintendent. Are there any things, issues, topics, et cetera, that are kind of on your radar screen simply as an educator that are separate from kind of the considerations of this particular school district, that is something that maybe was what earned you the job in terms of the way that you approach education that may have been different than other candidates? Obviously, you don't know the other candidates.
I know, I have no idea, so that's a great question. It's a great question. I think really what I've been so passionate and interested about the past 5 years has really been about this move towards learner-centered, future-focused education models. And really from the time I had my youngest, who's 16 now, I've been thinking that if education really doesn't innovate and iterate, I'm not sure it'll exist because the world is changing so rapidly.
Yes.
And looking at some of the things that happen in batch model schooling, you have a batch 1 to 25, that's just not the way the world works, and it's not the way the kids work. So I think looking at all of those kinds of learning models, small group instruction, when do you have large group, when do you have rotations of kids, I think all of that is really critical, and I think probably talking about that maybe resonates with people here, that you really just want each child to be seen for themselves and to keep them moving. And I think that's a really positive, hopeful, optimistic view of learning, rather than I think the nation was a little bit in kind of a deficit model there before, looking a lot at test scores and only test scores and having that be the measure of success when we know education is so much more than that.
And what a lovely way to put it, for each student to be seen for themselves. That very evocative imagery for sure.
And that's what I hope you'll see while I'm here, because that is something I'm really passionate about, is being in the schools, seeing what's happening in schools, working with educators and students, and I just love that part of education.
Indeed. It's 2018. We live in a different world that in some ways I know that a lot of us feel like we're a little bit insulated from what the real world is. That being said, of course, violence in schools is a huge issue that is dominating headlines. I'm curious more so, not so much from a policy perspective, but more from a personal perspective, what your take is on this world that we're living in and this academic world that we're living in right now.
Right, some scary stuff happening in the world, isn't there?
So.
It really is, because you want a school to always feel as a community center. You want it to feel open and warm and welcoming, and yet secure. So you've got all of those pieces, and I honestly believe it's the people. It's the people paying attention. Everyone you meet from the doorway all the way through, being aware of what the common patterns are, kind of that move, scan, interact. You always have to have that awareness.
Right.
But I think we have to build the community of trust and belonging, and I think that's the most important piece, because I think if you look at the common thread in some of the violence that's happening is that people are not feeling that way.
And certainly, as we've mentioned on a number of occasions already in our conversation this morning, a special place here in Park City with regard to that, not only in terms of the community's involvement in the schools, but also it feels to me like there's a safety net that maybe doesn't exist in other places.
let's pray that that is 100% accurate.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Very good. So when is your first day, so
When
to
is my
speak?
first day? Right, exactly. You kind of jump in with both feet, don't you?
Right,
It's very exciting.
right.
So I'm working with our Greenwich Board of Education to make sure there's a smooth transition there. And then
Sure.
as soon as we feel we've got a solid candidate, either interim or permanent, I'll be making my way over. So it'll be a transition through the summer, most likely.
Fantastic. Doctor, it's so nice to meet
Thank you so much for the welcome. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
new position. I will say personally that, of course, someone who has Midwestern roots is always, yes, that's good stuff, good
Thank you.
people.
Thank
and
you.
Come and visit us, be a regular here, and keep us up to date. And mostly, welcome to the community, and congratulations and best wishes for a lovely experience here.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Nice to
Appreciate
meet you.
Dr. Jill Gildea, our brand new superintendent. It feels like we have a new member, not just of our community, but our educational family here in Park City. It's really good stuff as we look forward into a continuing era of excellence in education here in Park City. We're going to take a break. Lots more show. Please stay tuned. We will be right back.